Good evening, Lowdown Nation. Here we are for another installment of the Lowdown with Matt. And man, I am excited tonight. It is my distinct pleasure to have with me Mr. Jason McClain. He is the bass player for Atlanta-based band Antagonist Theory. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Jason in, and we will get things rolling.
What's going on,
Jason,
dude?
my friend, how are you?
Doing good, man. What's going on, brother?
Man, just excited as can be to have you on here. We've been talking the better part of this week, and I've been looking forward to this.
Me too, as well, man.
So how's your day been?
Oh, it's been a good day, man. Busy working. We got some rehearsals for shows coming up, so it's been good, man. Productive.
Good. So we'll go ahead and get this party started.
Absolutely.
So Jason, how long have you been playing bass?
I have been playing guitar since third to fourth grade. I actually started out on ukulele. And from there, I progressed to guitar in middle school. And from middle school, I got really big into the punk rock scene. And we started going to punk rock shows. And just seeing those bass players in punk rock, I was like, I want to play the bass. So that's how it all started for me in middle school, playing the bass.
Nice. So at any point, did you take lessons, or have you pretty much been self-taught? How did that go?
Well, actually, I started, like I said, when I was young with the ukulele. That was actually with the teacher. I think it was my third grade teacher, Miss Duke. And that was, 10 of us, and we're in the class, and we're learning to play ukulele. From there, everybody kind of advanced to playing guitar on their own and taking lessons, and I never did. From there, it was always by ear, so I'm pretty much always been self-taught.
So as far as your particular playing style goes, are you a fingerstyle player, or do you use a pick, or is it situational?
For me, actually, I think the sound of a freaking guy that can play bass with a pick is absolutely phenomenal. I have not been able to figure it out. There's been songs and times where I'm like, you know what, this would be a lot easier if I used the pick, but I can't do it. I don't know how guys do it. So I have to struggle because for me, all the feel is in the fingers, So it's always fingers for me, even if I have to struggle with the fast lick or fast riff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm actually just the opposite. I'm a converted guitarist, and
Okay.
So I've been playing bass for about 4 years, and
Okay.
I completely struggle with fingerstyle because I'm so used to having a pick that
Absolutely.
I really struggle to play without one. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's one of those things, like for me, the feel of the strings, the vibration, all of that, even me rhythmically, what the drums are doing, I feel all that in my fingers. And with the pick, I just feel so disconnected from the instrument, and I'm like sloppy.
Gotcha. So tell me about your current gear and your live setup. What do you play? What do you play through? Any effects? That kind of thing.
Absolutely. I'm a Fender fanatic, man. I love a Fender jazz bass. My current equipment consists of a jazz bass, active 5-string. And as far as gear wise, it can kind of differentiate. Sometimes we do the pedal board with amp simulation, DI, and sometimes we do like a Mesa Boogie cabinet or a Fender Rumble combo I have. It just really depends on the venue and the situation.
Right.
I've kind of learned how to get the tone that I prefer out of both.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, do you have a preference personally between a four-string and five-string bass, or you know, I'm guessing based on the style of music of Antagonist theory that the five-string is probably handy.
It is, and two, because I have like super long fingers. Some people call me ET. I have like piano fingers, and if I get on like a thin neck, like an Ibanez or something, because my fingers are so long, I struggle. So honestly, for me personally, I prefer a five string because the necks are a little bit wider. My fingers
Right.
lay just a little bit flatter, and I feel like I can riff a lot easier personally.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, musicians tend to collect gear. Do you have anything really unique or unusual in your gear arsenal?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So I guess like a lot of musicians, I used to collect basses, high-end instruments, boutique basses, Warwicks, Stingrays, and probably my most valued possession is a $200 Squire P bass. I bought it at Guitar Center. I brought it home, plugged it up to the amp, and it sounded beautiful. And I told my wife, I said, "Hey, baby, come check this out," because she has to hear all my basses. And she's like, "That sounds really good." So if I'm not rehearsing for Antagonist theory or practicing, I'm probably paying that $200 P bass, man, that little Squire.
Nice.
That's my baby. And it's kind of funny. It was literally $200.
Nice. Yeah. Like I said, I'm a converted guitarist. I've been playing bass myself for about 4 years. The way I got into bass is my son took up guitar, and he basically absconded with all my guitar gear. And so he and my wife surprised me with a bass.
Yeah,
And I started fooling around with that, and I discovered fairly quickly that I'd been a bass player all these years and just never knew
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I've got
For me, like I said, when I started on ukulele with a bunch of guitarists, and we would always go to the beach in the summer, like friend vacation. And every summer, these guys are getting better and better. They're shredding and they're soloing. And here I am playing chords and rhythm, like I'm just a rhythm player until I got to bass and I found my niche,
Yeah, I've got an Ibanez 5-string that I absolutely love.
Absolutely.
But what I'm going to do is take a look over at the Instagram feed and see if anybody's making any comments over there.
Absolutely cool, man.
Nothing as of yet.
Okay.
But y'all over on the Instagram feed or on any of the other feeds, definitely if you have questions or comments, definitely drop them, and we'll make that part of this for sure.
Just here to have a good time.
Oh, absolutely. So Jason, what are some of your personal musical influences?
I guess because I come from an era of rock music where we had rock radio stations where back in the day you could turn on the radio station, it could go from Metallica, 311, some death metal, some REM, some old stuff. I guess I would have to say my musical influences are vast. Because I just grew up listening to so much music, and now I take these deep dives to like pick things from different bass players periodically. Like I may go to the Eagles and learn something from Timothy Smith. I may go and check out some STP and learn something from Robert DeLeo. And then I might say, hey, I want to riff. Let me go listen to some Cannibal Corpse and see what Alex Webster is doing. So I'm all over the place because I like to pick and pull different things from different bass players from different genres. Anytime I'm feeling myself and feeling real cocky, all I got to do is go throw on some Motown and try to play some James Jamerson. And I'm like, I got a long ways to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, James Jamerson, Geddy Lee. I mean,
Geddy Lee,
yeah,
absolutely. You know, if you listen to some of those, I tell a lot of metal bass players that approach me like, dude, you're pretty good. Like, you know, what do you do? Practice. I said, dude, go play some Motown stuff and see what those guys are doing, because they're not just playing on the beat, they're playing off the beat. They're playing rhythmically. They're matching what the vocals do. And
right.
there's no pattern. They are just pretty much soloing. And it's very hard to track, but you learn a lot of riffs and patterns from following that music. That actually, it's kind of funny. Sometimes I do bring some of the Motown licks that I do to metal, and it's kind of funny. Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse kind of does the same thing.
Right, right. So you've listed a few, but are there some other of your favorite bassists that you'd like to talk about?
Oh man, I'm so all over the place, man. It's really hard to narrow it down. I love Peanut from 311, Robert DeLeo, Alex Webster, James Amerson, Victor Wooten, Marcus Miller, all over the board.
I got you. So, what was the very first concert you ever went to?
The very first concert I went to was the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and that was in Orlando, Florida.
Nice.
That was a really cool show because it actually led me into harder music, because at the time I really was in a ska punk, like the roots reggae kind of thing that is very Florida, being so close to the beach. And the headlining band I had never heard of that night was called H2O, and they're a New York hardcore band. And when I say it was an awesome experience and terrifying, because the pit was crazy, and that actually led me into harder music. When I first got into metal and heavier genres, it was because of H2O. I'd dove really deep into the New York hardcore scene, hardcore bands, Sick of It All, Gorilla Biscuits, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So, during the course of your musical career so far, have you had the opportunity to meet any of your musical heroes?
Absolutely, I have. I've actually been really lucky in that aspect. A good buddy of mine that I lost contact with when I first moved to the Atlanta area, I went to a mall and ran into LaJohn from Seven Dust. And
nice.
I chatted with him for a little bit. We exchanged numbers. He lived in Douglasville at the time. Hung out with him a couple times. Been backstage. Been to a couple shows with him. And like an idiot, I ruined that phone and lost his number.
Oh no!
And, I think he ended up buying a farm and moving to Missouri. And then I think it was maybe 3-4 years ago, me and my wife, we ran into him in Little 5 Points, and my kids had drained the battery on my phone. And I run into LaJohn. I'm like, LaJohn. He's like, oh my gosh. And I was like, dude, call me sometime. Let me get your number. I lost it. My phone was dead. So he took down my number. But of course, he's so busy, It'd be cool to hear from him again.
We actually just got a question on YouTube. Heather Crenshaw wants you to give us a fun fact about yourself.
I love parrots and birds. Knick-knack and breeding birds. A lot of people at shows come up to me that follow me on my Facebook are like, how are the birds? How are your birds doing? Are you still with the birds? And I totally forget people know about that. So that's kind of a kooky thing that I thoroughly enjoy, my parrots.
Oh, that's cool. I definitely want to hear more about that in just a little bit.
Go ahead, man.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, it's kind of funny. Sometimes I'm practicing or just practicing bass, and I'll be working on a riff, and they'll be There's some videos. Most videos, if you listen close enough to me playing bass, you're gonna hear the parrots in the background.
Nice. So, you had mentioned that you spent some time in Florida. I'm just curious, what part of Florida?
The Orlando area most of the time, the Tallahassee area. Yeah, that's kind of where I got my huge starts in bands and music, was in the Florida scene.
Nice. Yeah. As a kid, I lived in the Cocoa Beach area for about 7 years. So
I used to skip school there, man.
nice.
That's where we would skip school to go, man. When we skipped school, that was yes, Cocoa Beach or Daytona sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you're mentioning about the birds, sort of segues into the next question, and that is, away from music, what are some of your hobbies and interests?
Away from music, man, to be honest with you, like we were talking about earlier, I'm a huge family guy and outdoorsman. And I guess that has to do with the Florida boy in me. I spend a lot of times at parks, being outside, fishing. And that's something I sometimes bring my parents to the parks. Sometimes, the whole family's there, the birds, the whole family. That's really me. That's really what, brings me happiness, just being outside, being outdoors, stuff like that. I hope I don't sound too hippie-ish, but it's just the truth.
No, not at all, man. So with the birds, is it mostly parrots or what types of birds do you deal with?
African grays, Amazons, macaws, the whole 9 yards, all of them.
Oh,
I have
nice.
I've actually curtailed and got rid of a lot of my birds just because, well, like I said, I used to breed and sell them, but just music is just, and I have a huge family. I have 5 kids, so I kind of just have pets at the moment.
Right. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to share my screen, and you had sent me just a short little video of Antagonist theory. So we're going to take a quick look at that, and then actually delve into the band itself.
Cool, man.
So.
Hey, there's me. Yay.
And we're back. I just like I said, I wanted to just be able to give people a little taste of what Antagonist theory is all about. So,
Awesome.
so tell me a little bit about the band. How long have you guys been together? How did the band form? Where did the name come from?
Oh, yes. So actually, me and Brad, when I came out of my hiatus and wanted to get back to playing music, Brad was the first person I reached out to. And he was like, yeah. We talked for a little bit. He's like, why don't you come to rehearsal and try out for the band? And we kind of joke about it today because some things happened. We weren't really seeing eye to eye. I ended up flaking out, not going to practice. I kind of like no call, no show. And he was like, screw this guy. And I'm like, screw this guy. And we didn't talk for years, man. And then we started slowly talking and kind of, just getting acquainted with each other to a while back. Me and Brad just became like best friends. You know what I mean? And our wives actually joked. Our wives actually joked. They're like, oh my gosh, where's your buddy? You're not calling your buddy. I remember like last week, I think Brad was sick or something like that. And his wife messaged me. She's like, I haven't heard his iPad going off. What's going on? Y'all are not talking. Anyways, Antagonist theory was rehearsing and practicing, but they needed a bass player. So the project was kind of on ice. And Brad was, messaging me like, what do you think about this music? What do you think about this music? And I'm like, dude, I love it, man. I was in another band at the time. And he was kind of giving up on it a little bit, but I'm like, dude, this stuff is too good for us just to let it sit cold. And we got bold, and he said, dude, come on over and let's do this. And I ended up going to a rehearsal. And we strapped up our instruments and we went, and it was just the chemistry, everything was right there, man. And I was like, we're on to something special, dude. And here we are.
That's awesome. I'm noticing right now we've actually gotten another comment here on from YouTube from Adam Baker, basically saying, "What's your favorite song to jam with Antagonist Theory? Drummer man here, love you, bro."
Whatever song he's playing drums on. No, honestly, man, there's parts and all of our songs really hit. I guess I would have to say, if somebody put a gun in my head and asked me, I'd have to say Nothing More. That song slaps, and it's got kind of a surprise in there that kind of shocks people. So probably Nothing More, but all of our songs, man, are just jamming, in so many different ways. Sometimes we hit you with some speed. Sometimes we'll hit you with some groove. Sometimes we'll lay back and let you enjoy some melody,
Gotcha. So I guess I take it Adam's your drummer.
Absolutely. Unless something changed.
So that actually kind of brings me to the next topic here, and that is, the bass player and the drummer are basically in a partnership. It's the rhythm section for the band. Tell me about your relationship with Adam and how that goes.
This guy makes being a bass player so easy, and I'm not just saying that to toot his horn, but literally, I knew me and Adam had that connection. Like, sometimes, farting off at practice, I'll just bust out a lick. And the next thing you know, here he goes. And me and him can just improv like that. And not only that, sometimes when we're rehearsing, or there's a couple songs, when Adam's playing the drums, I can absolutely nail it. Mm-hmm. And then I go home and I'm like, I'm all sloppy. But the connection is, man, like my fingers can actually lock in and feel the rhythm of his kick drum, man. It's really cool, man.
Heather just says, don't make Brad too jealous.
So yeah, man, it's a really cool connection, man, and it's a driving force in our sound and our band, and I absolutely love it. And the cool thing about the Antagonist Theory sound is, as a bass player, I think anybody that's played with me in a band will tell you my style is I like to weave between the drums and then weave back into the melody with the guitar. So I'm never really one place, you know what I'm saying? And that's just something I've learned to do. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I need to lock in with the vocals here or lock into what the guitar is doing. And sometimes it's like, I need to catch what that kick drum is doing and lay it down. You know what I mean?
Right. So tell me about the songwriting process in Antagonist Theory. Is there a primary writer in the band, or is it pretty much collaborative? How does that go?
It is the genius that we have at the helm of the ship, and that is Brad, man. The guy is an absolutely talented, and I've told him this when we were friends, absolutely talented songwriter. And it's kind of funny. He gets in these moods and he kind of goes on hiatuses and he comes back. He's like, dude, I've been working on this. Check it out. I press play and I'm like, dude, that is it. That is fire, man. And the way we songwrite is he kind of sends us an idea and he's like, do your thing. Adam, do your thing. We come into practice and sometimes it's almost instant. I'm like, and I'll ask for input. Do you like the bass line here? Or, Adam, do you like what I did here? Or we go back and modify it, but a lot of times it's just instant. You know what I mean? And that's been really, really cool.
Right. I'm going to take a look back over at the Instagram tab and just see what's going on over there. We've got a lot of people in the chat. I'm just trying to see if anybody has has
what's
commented.
up, everybody?
Let's see.
They're probably all like, what's this guy talking about? He's wrong. 200 wire bass? What's he talking about?
No, man. This is great stuff. So, is Antagonist Theory anything approaching a full-time thing? If not, tell me about your day job.
Well, I would like to say I wish. Don't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got off tour, man. Just landed from Sweden. It was great. No, it is not. We wish. My full-time job, I think I have a pretty rock and roll job. I'm actually a tower crane operator. I work up in the sky, putting buildings
wow.
up. So yeah, that's what I do when I'm not playing music. It's a pretty cool job, pretty rock and roll,
Absolutely. That's one of those jobs you can't have a fear of heights.
No. Or drink too much coffee.
Yeah. That's pretty
It's
neat.
cool though because I can kind of be myself. I don't, I make a good living, and I don't have to go to work and be something I'm not. Like the guy you see on stage, I don't know. So one of my workers said he was going to join. He'll tell you I'm the same guy on the job site.
Cool.
Wide open, man. I like to run wide open, man.
Awesome. So, if you can narrow it down to, I guess, one or two stories, what have been some of the most interesting experiences you've had playing live, whether it be with Antagonist Theory or previous bands or what?
Man, I've been doing music since I was in high school. I actually signed, I guess you would call it a management deal when I was a junior in high school. I kind of was going to school, getting called out of class to do interviews, going on weekend tours, playing with national acts at a very young age. So I've been around the block and I've been doing this for a very long time. And there's so many stories. We'd be here all night. Probably the funniest though is I think we had just graduated high school and we were playing this big event in Orlando, Florida. It was downtown. And I think it was something like to keep high school kids off drugs and all this other stuff. It was a really cool honor to be able to play the event. Well, before the show, the band I was in at the time, we wanted to drink some beers before we got on stage. And we go to sound check and the sound guy's like, man, I've heard you guys' music, man. You guys are awesome. You guys are rock stars. Yeah, whatever. So we go back to my mom's Explorer at the time and we got like a 12-pack of beer and we think we're so cool. We're pre-gaming before we get on stage. I jump out of the Explorer and I get body slammed and roughed up by a bunch of cops and put in handcuffs. So I'm sitting there in the parking lot, handcuffed, and the cop's like, what are you guys up to? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Are you guys of age? And from where I'm sitting handcuffed, you can see the sound guy and he's looking. It's an outside show and he's looking like. So the cop ended up making us pour out all the beer, taking our handcuffs off or whatever. We go back to the venue and the sound guy goes, I knew you guys were rock stars. Yeah, true story, man.
That is funny.
Yeah, that was my parents were there and everything else too, man. I think we ended up getting banned from ever playing with that promoter again.
So, what would you say? Well, you sort of touched on this, but do you have a personal favorite Antagonist Theory song to play live?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if you guys get to go to a show, the thing that I love about what we do, something I've always preached to Brad about before I even joined the band was when we go on stage, I want to put on a show. I don't want to go up there and play songs. I don't want to go up there and play 7 songs and then get off the stage. What we aspire to do is put on a show. And through our production and through our music and different songs, we have these little nuances in our music that sometimes we drop out. And then sometimes we come in and punch you in the face. Sometimes we bring it down and bring it melodic. Sometimes we're going to hit you in the face with some thrash stuff. And I'm absolutely crazy about the whole production of what we do. I say nothing more because, again, it's a song where we're going to hit you in the face and then we're going to bring you back down and punch you again. But that's pretty much our whole lineup of songs,
Gotcha. So, before you go on live, do you have any pre-show traditions? Like athletes, for instance. Some of them will unlace their shoes and relace them before they play a game. Do you have anything you do consistently before you go on?
Yeah, I do hot yoga. That's a total joke. No, I really don't have. To me, what I find works for me, like with nerves and all that stuff, is I like to mingle, socialize, just be myself before I get on stage. That way, when I'm on stage, there's no nervousness. I'm just bringing that energy up on the stage. So I don't have any, except for because I'm old, stretching before I get on. A little bit of stretching. Okay, she just called her out. Tough crowd.
Yeah, well,
yeah. So just sitting there having conversations with people, having some shots, just kind of being yourself. So when you go on stage, it's not like this big thing. You just keep the energy going. So for me, if you go to a show, you'll probably see me hanging out, lounging around, just being myself before I go on stage. But like I said, stretching, man, because at this age, there's sometimes I like to pull out a jump or something, and then the next day you wake up and you're like, oh, my knee, my foot. My wife said, you're getting too old. I do stretch.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 55 later this year, and ever since 50, man, it's I've thrown my back out sneezing.
Oh, so that's that. It comes. I know. I remember not too long ago, I was playing some football with these kids, and I'm like, man, I still got it, man. Like, I'm still that guy. I'm still a beast. And the next morning, I literally could not get out of bed. I'm like, oh. So probably the pre-show before the shots is I try to drink at least 2 liters of water before I get to the show. Then I have the shots.
Yeah, pre-hydrate before the show hydration.
Yeah, you just never know, man, especially if you play outside, man. I mean,
right.
Whoo, I don't think people know, especially if you move around on stage, man. It's actually an athletic thing, you can get winded up there, man. I mean, you're pushing it, your adrenaline's going, your emotions on edge, you've got all these chemical things going on, and it's your nerves and all that other stuff. It's quite an athletic event,
Right. So, Jason, what is your hometown?
I am from the Florida-Alabama line, man. I am from Mobile, Alabama.
Nice. So, what would you say is your favorite thing about your hometown?
Leaving. My family's watching. I'm sorry. No. The simplicity of life there is really cool. I'm actually from like this historic place called Africatown, and I didn't know it was historic until like a couple of years ago. The actual last slave ship that hit America unloaded slaves in this place called, what we used to call growing up, Plateau, which I don't know when it happened, is actually now called Africatown, Alabama, and it's inside Mobile. And it's a very simplistic life. A lot of my family members are fishermen and stuff like that. I grew up, by the bay fishing. And the simplicity of life is really, really cool, man. You gotta love your band members.
Oh yeah. Adam and Heather are both coming with the jokes tonight.
Yeah, so probably the simplicity of life, man. It's a pretty family oriented place. To this day, I go to Mobile or Africatown or wherever, and people still know, oh, that's whatchamacallit's grandson or blah 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 blah. Everybody waves when you drive by. When I moved to the big city, like especially in bigger cities, people don't talk. They don't say hi. You go to Mobile, everybody talks to you. Morning, how you doing? Et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Right. So, give me your thoughts on the Atlanta music scene.
The Atlanta music scene, well, I think as a whole, with technology, COVID, post pandemic stuff, I think music has been a challenge from most bands I talk to. Going forward, I think it's something that we've all got to come together, not just as one band, but several bands, several musicians, and to hold on to this, what I call the ancient art, because to me, music is kind of becoming, live bands is kind of becoming ancient art. And I think we've got to keep that going, come together and not really compete. You know, my band's better, this band's better. Like, let's come together, have fun, so people want to leave their house. You know, I'm not going to get all political, but we all know, you know, the world's been more challenging than ever. Inflation, people are not making a lot of money. So what would make whoever is watching this or going to watch this come see Antagonist Theory? Because the music's good? No. People want to go and have a good time. And I think musician and artists, we have the opportunity to show people a good time, to step away from politics, to step away from, God, I'm preaching, to step away from things that are dividing us and say, let's enjoy this music. Let's headbang. Let's mosh. Let's go wild. Let's go crazy. This is a safe place. And that's where I come from as a musician. Like when I'm on stage, I'm not trying to look cool. I'm literally trying to give people that take the time out and spend to see us a good time. You know, like this is the place, like when we were kids, this is the place where you go and you let that aggression out or whatever emotion you're dealing with heavy music. So we've collaborated with a bunch of bands and talked to a bunch of people. And my whole goal is to get bands that want to come together and put on a freaking show where people can have fun away from the dark world. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it is, and anymore, it is a dark world.
I think we have that opportunity if we don't miss it, if we don't divide amongst ourselves and get in too much competition. Like, you know, some good competition is good. Like if I play with a band, I want them to go up there and try to smoke it. And you know what? We're going to go out there and try to bring down the walls. And guess what? Everybody that attends the show has a great time. You know what I mean? So,
oh yeah,
I mean, my hope is that people come together and try to think of the scene, the Atlanta scene, the opportunity to hold on to, like I said, what I call an ancient art, to try to keep this going, to keep live music going, because now you can go on YouTube and watch, you know, most bands, the whole show if you want to. So what's going to make you want to come out to a show? And that's what we got to start thinking as musicians.
Absolutely. Wise words there, for sure. So we're getting now to actually what has become one of my favorite questions that I've asked in every single one of these. And I always get the most interesting answers, and that is, knowing everything you know now, Jason, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
That's a good question, man. Honestly, I'm probably going to be the most uninteresting one here because I've kind of always stuck to the motto. When I was young, I was so terrified of being boring. I was like, whatever I do in life, I just don't want to be boring. So I think I've continued to grind and keep life exciting and to smile and to have some fun, man. I think anybody that's been around can tell you, like, that's just kind of me. So just keep grinding, man. Just keep having fun. Never be boring, man. Life is short. It's precious, man. Like, let's stop taking everything so serious and let's go have some fun, man, while we're here, you know?
Right. I'm going to pop back over to the Instagram tab real quick and just see what's popping over there. Okay. JT from Death Blender posed a question here. He says, sorry if I missed it, But who would be your biggest bass influence in the metal world?
In the metal world, I would probably have to say cliche Alex Webster, man. The guy's a beast. Another thing I like about Alex Webster is he actually goes outside of just metal bass players. He does a lot of stuff with like Victor Wooten and stuff like that. A lot of like acid jazz players and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool. He has he's hard on stage, but he's also very musically talented. So I would have to say Alex Webster, man, as far as metal wise. But there's so many, you know what I mean? Actually,
Oh yeah.
One of the things that I've done lately, brother, from Death Blender is instead of always checking out these top tier bands, I'm also looking at a lot of the local bass players, man, and pulling from them too. That's something that I'm doing. And any bands that are watching, man, if you play a show with a band, go on iTunes, check out that band, man. Let's check out each other's music and see what the local guys are doing. So there's a lot of local guys as well that are just killing it, man, that are not like top tier bands that I'll look to as well, man.
Absolutely. I don't know if you've had the chance to catch Death Blender, but those guys are amazing.
I've seen them, man. That's awesome. I'm glad they're on the chat. What's up, brothers?
So, well, speaking of that, you know, this has been really cool in that your comments really have allowed me to sort of segue to various parts of this. So do you have any suggestions for any other up and coming local bands to check out or possibly reach out to for one of these interviews?
Man, dude, there's so many good local bands, man. Like, I don't want to start naming bands and like leave any out.
Right,
man, guys, like check out bands' Facebooks and even if it's not the genre that you prefer, hey, we all play bass and guitar and stuff. One of the things that Antagonist Theory has done is we do play shows, but we've also limited shows so we can go see shows as well. I've been to some punk shows. I've seen some metal bands. I've seen some thrash bands, deathcore bands. Like, I'm a fan of it all. Like, expand your horizon, you know what I mean? Like that's something that I'm really big on. And as a band, we're continually to look for bands to go check out shows, man, you know? So absolutely. I don't want to really name some because I mean, there's just so many bands, so many musicians I've met. They're just really good guys. And I don't want to be like, oh, you forgot to name us. So guys, like check out the Facebooks, the Instagrams, not only like, man, if you can go check out some of these bands, and as guys and bands, let's go out here and try to put on good shows so people want to continue to get out, you know, and keep this thing going. Yeah,
absolutely. So we're getting to another part of the interview that's always kind of fun, and that is you know, the person that I interviewed previously poses a question for the person in the hot seat, so to speak.
Was this Chance? Chance?
No, actually, my last interview was with a guy named Justin Stupplebean, who is with a band from Albany, New York, called the Phoenix and the Raven. Oh, wow. And they're a progressive metal band. They're actually really, really good. They're somebody you ought to check out.
I'm gonna check them out when I get off here, man.
But anyway, so he posed the question: what would be a dream show lineup for you to open for?
Wow. That's a question I've never honestly even have contemplated. Honestly, I can't say a lineup, but any major big festival would be awesome, man. In my earlier years in music, I played a lot of festivals in Florida, and they were vast. You could end up playing with like Nonpoint, Seven Dust, then some thrash metal bands. For me, I'm really big on that. I love the festivals. I love the whole environment, being outside, the different genres of music that just, you know, hits you in the face. And there's no real lineup, man. Just any festival, man. Like a huge festival would be like a
Right.
dream come true for me, to be honest. I'm just kidding. Corey
Gotcha.
Feldman's band, man. That would be it. Corey Feldman.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Sorry,
would definitely be a unique experience for sure. So, you know, since this is a series, is there a question that you would like to pose to the next person in the hot seat? You know, if you can't, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, describe as a bass player, what is your tone? If somebody were to listen to an album, how would they be able to pick out this is blah? Like if somebody listened to Antagonist Theory, how would they be able to pick out that's Jason? Like that's his riffs, his tone. Describe
that
your
is
tone.
a great question.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Hey, you actually didn't ask me a question, and you skipped the question. I kind of want to go over it because it's kind of funny. You forgot to ask me about strings, and I just want to answer that because it's kind of a joke.
Oh yeah, you're right. So how often do you change strings?
Brad, when I talked to Brad, our lead man, about this, he was like, "Man, this guy changes his strings every song, man." So the reason I want to answer this question because even my wife, like, I have to sneak bass strings into the house because she's always like, "I thought you said you were going to change your strings," and I'm like, So when I get bass crazy and want to buy another bass, a trick I've learned is Heather's laughing. Everybody knows, man. Every week I'm like, "Brad, these are the strings. This is my tone. I'm not changing these strings." And I'm like, "I tried these strings. I like these strings." So a trick I've learned, instead of always buying new basses, I find if I change my strings out, like it gives me something new for a little bit instead of buying a new bass. So that's kind of my little trick. I'll be like, I want this Spectre Euro. But I'll be like, let me try these Dunlop strings and maybe that'll hold me over, you know, and then I'll get bored with those strings and switch it out. So that's why I want to answer that question, because it's kind of an inside joke.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I change my strings too much, man.
I always ask about that because bass strings are not cheap.
No, they're not, man. But they're cheaper. They're cheaper than a new bass guitar, dude. They're cheaper than bass guitar,
true.
Man.
That's true. My wife's cracking up.
No, it's like an inside joke. They always make fun of me for strings because even my wife, I'm like, "Yeah, baby, this is it. I'm not changing my strings. This is my sound. This is my tone." And then I want another bass, and I'm like, what if these DRs sound like, man? You know? But it's kind of cool. Players out there, man, you can change the way your bass feels and sounds by changing those strings, man. If you ever get bored.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been wanting to try flat wounds, but I just haven't gotten around to doing it.
Flat wounds on a P bass is, oh man, it's something real, man. It is something real, man. It is something real. But anyways, the strings thing, there's so much of a variety that you can do with strings, man, and bass guitar. Some strings are more growly, some strings have more bite. Some strings are more taut. Some are a little more flexible. It actually is a huge deal, you know what I mean, to how you can kind of shape your sound with the strings alone. Some pickups, some basses sound better with certain strings. So it is kind of hard to say, I'm going to use this string on all my basses. Like what string sounds good on my jazz wouldn't sound good on my Warwick and stuff like that, you know?
Gotcha.
Like all the bass players are like listening, and all the like people that don't play bass are like, "Okay, I'm signing off now." Like,
so you know, aside from what you guys have going on Instagram, do you guys have any other social media you'd like to hype?
We have Instagram. We do have a Facebook, as well as Brad is the wizard behind Red Skull Studios, which we are blessed as a band to have a fully operational studio. So we do have Red Skull Studios, something that we're trying to venture on to. to get bands that want to come in if they want to do interviews, do some live stuff. If you've seen in a lot of our live clips, we actually perform and can record at Red Skull Studios where we practice. So Antagonist Theory on Facebook, Antagonist Theory on Instagram, and Red Skull on Instagram and Facebook as well. I'm not sure if one day, I don't know if he's done it already, we might combine them, because I don't think people know that they're all one thing together. Whereas Brad might do some live performances with other bands on Red Skull Studios, or do some interviews with other bands on Red Skull Studios. It's still one thing, you know.
Oh, that's great. Well, definitely shout out to Red Skull Studios. That's great stuff. So, do you guys have any upcoming shows or any new material that you'd like to hype?
Absolutely. We have next Saturday we will be at Sweetwater with Seduced by Suffering, The Fire We Breathe, and Press of Death. We'll be playing Machete Fest and Alpharetta. We have a show at Furnace 41 late May sometime. We have a lot of other dates that we're currently working that have not been confirmed. We're working on the 1,000 Deaths EP. That should be coming out soon. We're going to be recording as we play shows and working on that. So we've got a lot of material, a lot of content, and a lot of shows coming up. And we're continuously looking to play with some awesome bands out there in the book. So if you guys are looking for a band full of regular guys that like to go on stage and kick some ass, give us a shout, man.
Absolutely. So Heather just said apparently she's your personal photographer.
She is. Yeah. Hey, let me just say, man, like the cool thing and the weird thing about our studio is, like, I call Brad the CIA, because where we rehearse, there's like cameras and secret cameras and photographs everywhere. So you never know when you're going to be recorded. So you'll leave practice and I'll go on Facebook and, like, there's a new clip and I'm like, oh, hey, I was wearing flip flops and I had my knee wrapped. Like, gosh, man, can you let me know? So I can, like, I don't know, clean up or something. Don't that look cool? Yeah, like we also record all our practices, so you just never know when it's like, boom, a video of our rehearsal today, and you're like, ah, man. So
yeah,
yes, you
shouldn't have picked your nose at that.
Did you hear me blow wind? Yes, Heather's awesome, man. She got, if you've seen some of the pictures that are some of the promos I sent you, man, she gets some awesome shots, man. Like, really, we're thankful for everybody that we have behind the scenes helping us out. Families, wives, friends, other bands out there, man. Like, you know, it's a collective thing, you know.
That's definitely how it ought to be. So I'm going to pop back over to Instagram, see if anything's going on over there, and see. No, everything's pretty much as it was. So
everybody's going to the clubs.
Yeah. I guess everybody's doing their own stuff on a Friday night. But man, this has been an absolute blast.
Thank you, man. I enjoyed it.
And I've definitely enjoyed hearing from Heather and Adam over on YouTube, and everybody that's been watching this live, thank you. If you like what we're doing here, definitely spread the word. Definitely check out Jason, check out Antagonist Theory, and like I said, this is really just a place to celebrate music, celebrate local music scenes from around the country, and just have a good time.
Absolutely.
That's really the vibe that we go for here. It's not really an interview; it's more of just a conversation, just shooting the bull with your friends. So anyway, like I said, if you're watching this live, thank you. If you're watching this on a replay later, thank you. And everybody just have a great evening, and we will We'll be talking at you soon. Looks like we got some balloons going up on on Jason's side of things. That's awesome.
Hey, we appreciate everybody, man. Everybody have a great weekend, man, and hopefully see you at the shows.
Absolutely. And so